Every day our lives are changed by.
Good evening and welcome. You're watching Atn Politics. It's the network's flagship program that discusses core political trends with relevant political stakeholders. Today on Atn Politics, we will be discussing core issues from different political landscapes. In Akwa Ibom, PDP to register 6.9 million new members. Edo Guba group urges INEC judiciary to resist political pressures. Ondo State, APC suspends Ibrahim over anti-party activities. And finally, our corruption is people-driven in Ndume. We're going to a short break now, and when we come back, I'll introduce my guest and we will dive right into the conversation.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what they blood.
I have fought very firmly.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human
on the point of order.
Honorable
They are not picking our calls. They made up their minds.
So no agreement with the EU, but
Every day our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
A warm welcome back. Joining me on the program today is Dr. John Idumange, a political analyst. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, and thank you, listeners.
All right.
As we are going to review, yep.
It's our pleasure.
Okay.
And on to our stories. The People's Democratic Party, Akwa Ibom State, said it has begun registration of new members and a reassessment campaign in the state. The party, through its state publicity secretary, Mr. Boronu Basi, on Thursday, said the exercise, which started on Thursday, May 16, is expected to get at least 6,900,000 Akwa Ibom people as members. He said the state chairman of PDP, Elder Anyekon Akpan, while flagging off the membership registration and reassessment campaign at an emergency expanded EXCO meeting of the party, said the exercise, apart from being a directive of the national body, was a way of opening their doors for new members and updating the membership status of old members. According to him, every week, thousands of Akwa Ibom people continue to reach out to members of our party across the different strata, expressing their genuine desire to register as bona fide members of the PDP. Also, every day we have people who turn 18 and want to belong to our party. He added that the ward chairman will heed to the directive of the governor that no chairman should demand a dime from anyone in the course of the exercise. Doctor, what do you think about this? We can call it, a large move, a very great goal here by the PDP. Yes. I mean, and also a way to strengthen the party in the state. So what do you think about, a target of 6.9 million new members in the party?
Quite ambitious.
How feasible is that, and what would it take them to actually achieve this feat?
Thank you. There is the saying that politics anywhere is local. And I think Akwa Ibom is beginning quite early. Remember, in Nigeria, the votes of the citizens are beginning to count. Some years back, when we are not used to electronic system of voting, ballot box carrying, and the violation of the electoral process was very common. But gradually, awareness is increasing by the day. Now, I think Akwa Ibom is taking the right step in the right direction, because ultimately, in every election, power belongs to the people, the voters. Power belongs to members of your party. And, starting the registration exercise, they are now preempting, they have started preparing towards 2027. That's what it means. So, it will involve a lot of sensitization, it will involve a lot of grassroots mobilization for them to be able to, register more members of the party. Remember that the moment you belong to a party, it's like you have taken an oath. That you will be loyal to the party at any level. When your services are required, you render selfless. So I think Akwa Ibom State has started well. Soon, very soon, other states will begin to emulate the good example of Akwa Ibom State. Every serious politician should know that his power, his strength lies at his ward, the ward level. That is where people are registered. You can see where the governor said, look, the ward chairman should not charge money. In some cases, the ward chairman, for you to say, I want to belong to, maybe some people participated in the election and they did not know, they didn't like how the internal democracy of that party worked, and they want to make a switch. This is the time for them to switch. The right time for them to switch is when they are registering new members. There, you are not decamping, you are registering as a new member of the party. And it will be so recorded, because every political party has some guidelines. One, if I have been a member of PDP 10 years ago, and you are just a member of party now, certainly I should be given a preference when it comes to some privileges, because I have been a member for a longer period. Okay. So Akwa Ibom State is, they are doing the right thing. I tell you, in no time, all other states will begin to, emulate the footsteps. Again, remember, we are talking about a period when INEC itself will soon, update the membership registers of political parties. So this one is more or less preempting what will happen very soon, because I know that before the end of this year, INEC will begin to update her database. So I am seeing the figure 6.9 million as very ambitious anyway. But in Nigeria, nothing is impossible. If they're able to sensitize the ward chairman and other, officials of the party at that level, at the grassroots level, it is possible they will achieve some measure of success, even though the number does not get to 6.9 million, because there are other, what's the population of Akwa Ibom State? You have APC, you have Labour Party, there are others who also belong to other political parties. It's not a one-party state. So that is ambitious, but well, let's see what it will look like. Because in these days, some people have problems of paying transport to their villages, where the wards are. So if the government can facilitate the logistics for those people in the urban areas, like you are from, maybe I'm from Nembe or Brass, I'm living in Port Harcourt, I want to go down to Nembe to register. It requires some logistics. So if government can provide some logistics support, the target may not be ambitious after all.
Okay.
Yes, so I think it is coming right at the right time, because INEC soon will update her database by updating the members of registered political parties. Okay. And again, they will also register new parties. You never can tell if two of us will go and form a political party.
About 6.9 million people, that's quite, exuberant. One would say perhaps they have an intention of turning the state into a one-party state, because, I mean, like you mentioned, what is the total population of the people in the states? That is from 18 years and above, because we're not counting children in this regard, right? 18 years and above. So 6.9 million. Are there chances their intention is to turn the state into a one-party state? But before we get here, Ms. Dr. John, you mentioned initially at the beginning of your statement, you said this move by the PDP in the state, in Akwa Ibom, is quite too early. You mentioned...
No, I didn't say it was quite too early.
Right,
I said they are starting at the right time because they are preempted. See, May 29th, 1 year is already gone. 1 year is gone. By next year, by this time next year, politics are started in essence. They will start politics, playing politics concerning who will become president in 2027 and so on. So in Nigeria, because of the type of politics we play politics without ideology. We play politics without principle. So it depends on how many members you can get to belong to your party and to keep them, to stabilize their stay in the party, so that they can believe in the principles, at least the internal principles guiding the party. In Nigeria today, most of the political parties, whether it's APC, PDP or Labour Party, you can see the trouble right, left and center. Parties that are not, deeply rooted in ideology, that is what happens. That's what we see.
So 6.9 million people, do you think that there could be plans to turn the state into a one-party state?
Well, Akwa Ibom can even decide to say, well, they are going to register up to 11 million people. That's just a statement. But I know that they cannot... well, you never can tell, but they would do their best. But that number is a bit too ambitious. Yes.
Okay. Do you think that coming up to make this intention known, this target, and this move known to the general public, do you think it's quite too early, seeing that they are not the only political party in the state, and politics, of course, as we know, is a competition, right?
Yes.
And, every party would want to have precedence or dominance in every state that they are. So do you think that coming to announce that they've begun registration of new members with this target, do you think it's quite too early, or perhaps they should have, begun the process and got into, a particular, achieved some sort of results before they come out to announce, so they know that probably they've gained ground before this announcement? Because this will also serve as a wake-up call to other political parties to start galvanizing support and all of that. What do you think?
Yes, it's not too early. It is the responsibility of INEC to ensure that they update the voters register.
Okay.
They will also look at the membership of a particular political party. There's a particular law that guides it. Now, when it comes to registration of political party, this is where INEC will come in. But within the party can decide to open a register to register new members at any point in time, irrespective of whether we are close to elections or not. So it is not too late. It is not too early. But yes. So they are trying to embark on this drive to woo as many members as they can to join the People's Democratic Party.
No, I'm not talking about embarking on it. I mean the announcement of this plan.
In politics, a lot of psychology has a role to play. Announcing that we are registering 6.9 members, it reverberates. It makes a sense, it's a loud statement that, look, PDP is getting ready to capture Akwa Ibom State. And not just capturing the state, PDP is even getting ready to capture Nigeria. Okay. Because look at the votes of the presidential candidates. The president today we have, what was his vote? Was it not 8.something million? And so if Akwa Ibom alone can boast of, let's say, 4, 5 to 6 million votes, it means it's a big deal. So it is not just politics, it is a kind of psychological warfare now they are embarking on. So don't be surprised that soon APC will also flag off its party registration campaign. And you see members running to their village, to their walls, and you see them, registering en masse.
Okay.
We live in a political atmosphere where there must be competition. But this competition should be healthy. So what Akwa Ibom is about to do now is a healthy way to compete.
Okay.
It's not out of order.
Got your thoughts there, Doctor. A pressure group within the Edo State chapter of Labour Party, Catalyst Committee, has challenged the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and the judiciary not to succumb to political pressures. Rather, they should show conformity to the rule of law and the Electoral Act as amended in 2022. The group made the call against the backdrop of the legal challenge instituted by an LP governorship aspirant, Barrister Kenneth Imaswagbon, against the candidacy of Olumide Akpata in Edo State. Recall that Imaswagbon had dragged the LP governorship candidate Akpata to the Federal High Courts in Abuja and Benin City, seeking interpretation of the Constitution as regards the emergence of Akpata as the party's governorship candidate in Edo State, owing to the issue bordering on the provision of false information and dual citizenship, among others. In a statement by the coordinator of the group, Dr. Abel Ohari, the Catalyst Committee noted that the call became necessary as some money bags were allegedly out to ensure that justice was not served and thereby subverting the will of the people. The group pointed out that it is only when justice is served on the governorship candidacy dispute that democracy can be deepened in the country. INEC and the judiciary calling them, tasking them, urging them to desist from political pressures, resist every form of political pressures, and hold on to the rule of law, conform to the Electoral Act, follow it through to the letter. Dr. John, now, do you think that urging INEC and the judiciary to do what the Constitution has mandated them to do,
Yes,
would make any difference?
well, when I read that story, maybe I didn't concentrate because the allegations they are making against, here we are talking about the immediate past NBA president, Akpata, Olumide Akpata, who is himself a sound lawyer. You know, before you get to the hierarchy of becoming NBA president, NBA is the apex body of lawyers, and he was president, the immediate past president. The false information they are talking about is not very explicit, except that, you know, they said he's a dual citizen. In Nigeria, our constitution is very clear. If as a man, if he was born here in Nigeria, in Edo State, and he accepts the citizenship of another country, it does not disqualify him in any way to contest. Yes, you can contest. There are several examples. In Bayelsa State, Ben Moriburu is a dual citizen. He contested and won. In the light of the Electoral Act as amended in 2022, there is nothing wrong. The other bit I don't know is what false information has he furnished INEC with for them to say, oh, he has furnished them with false information. So in the first place, he was not even supposed to contest. Now let me tell you one thing. In the past presidential election, the Labour Party, if you look at the votes the Labour Party got in Edo State, if it was a free and fair election, if it was a free, fair and credible election, the Labour Party would have produced the governorship, the governor, or all the assembly members, all the national officers, national assembly members of the state.
Why do you say so?
Yes, because we saw the trend. Remember, when the votes were being counted, remember there were some wards and so on that were cancelled because of malpractices. No, the youths in Edo State became conscious of the fact that their future would not lie with the PDP or the APC. So they needed an alternative. And that was why they thronged out en masse to vote for the APC. But something went wrong somewhere along the line. The fear now is that there is a reasonable reason for them to be afraid that APC and PDP, if they are not very strong, if that kind of protest vote comes again in favor of the Labour Party will win. In fact, it will be a landslide victory. So that is the political undertone in this matter. Masu Agbon has taken to the Federal High Court. So, of course, in the temple of justice, the rule of law must be followed. In the temple of justice, you cannot pervert what all of us know as white or black, as the case may be. So, for me, even the statement they are making is sub judice. It's like you are trying to, influence what will be the judgment of the court. Because the moment a matter is in court, anything you say is likely to affect the opinion of the judges. And that is why the moment your matter goes to court, you keep quiet and watch how events will turn out to be. So for me, the rule of law they are invoking, I think this Olumide Akpata, being the immediate past president of the NBA, is in a position to know what and what, because even as his tenure, during his tenure as NBA chairman, they have entertained several of such cases. Yes. Remember, being the president of NBA is not just to receive dues and levies. It's beyond that. They entertain complaints. They look into disciplinary issues. They look into the ethical issues involved in law practice. So it is very difficult for you to say, oh, this man has supplied the wrong information, because, you are a lawyer. You know what it takes to contest any election.
So you're saying that
yes,
because he's a lawyer who has got into that height
yes,
in his practice, there's no way that there would have been any irregularities.
No, I have not said so. I am looking at the psychology of, the undercurrents of politics in Edo State against the background of the past election, where it was becoming very obvious. So many youths protested. Unemployed youths who, some of them, they left university 10, 12 years ago, no job. So it was like a protest against both the PDP and the, these are, PDP has stayed in power for 16 years. And again, APC is also going to 8 years plus 4, 12 years. If APC wins another tenure, then it's 16 years. So the youth believe that these two parties have failed them. That's the point. The psychology is that we have no hope here, we don't also have hope there. Let's look for a third option. And that was how I am not saying that as a lawyer you cannot make mistakes. We are all human beings. Mistakes are made by human beings, not angels. Mistakes are also corrected by human beings, not angels. So the opposition party, those who are opposing the Labour Party, should not preempt what will happen in the court of law. That is what I have to say.
So are you not saying that the group urging INEC and judiciary to resist every form of political pressure is just a mere shamble?
Political pressure is a nebulous term. You cannot put it and say this is 1, 2, 3 is political pressure. It is just a concept, an idea that, people are likely to put pressure on the judiciary. I mean, there are times the judiciary have risen to the occasion in this country, where no matter the political undertone of any matter, the judiciary will come out and make an authoritative pronouncement.
Right, there are times they've risen, and then there are times that people have questioned their practice as well.
Yes, that being the case, we know. INEC, as for INEC, I'm going to say with all humility that based on what has been happening in Nigeria, the trust coefficient of INEC is very low. So the hope of anybody at all in Nigeria, see, in other climes, in America, in Britain and other places, elections are conducted and the winner is determined by the electorate. They don't need to go to court. It is the voters that will determine who wins the election. As soon as you cast your ballot and the votes are counted, a winner what emerges, and they don't go to court. So we are trying to give the court, and that is why the judicial reform thing is something very good we must all embrace. We are trying to overburden the judiciary. Anybody who is a trader, he gave money to somebody and the person will run to the judiciary. These are matters ordinarily arbitration. I'm an arbitrator. Okay. As an arbitrator, ordinary arbitration can settle most of these cases. But with respect to the judiciary and INEC, I have a big question mark on INEC. That's my personal position. Okay. But as for the judiciary, I still have that implicit confidence in the judiciary that they will do their bit to ensure that the rule of law is maintained.
So you're saying that the Constitution allows for dual citizenship in case of a political office?
If you had brought a lawyer here, because I'm not a lawyer, so I cannot speak authoritatively, but I know that it is not an offense if you are a dual citizen. How does somebody become a citizen? You can even become, during the apartheid regime, most of the prominent figures in South Africa, the blacks, became Nigerian citizens. Yes. During the apartheid regime. You can even become an honorary citizen. It's just somebody can say, oh, Gloria is doing very well as an on-air personality. Let's take her to SABC, South African Broadcasting Corporation, and make her a citizen of South Africa.
That was the apartheid regime.
Even now, some people, are you aware that our brother Igale is a Canadian citizen? He is. As a result of his excellence in sports. You know, there was one Olympic games where he won so many medals in wrestling for Canada. So you can become a citizen. It does not really nullify. If there is any other false information, okay, bring it forth. But as for dual citizenship, to the best of my knowledge, it is not a ground to disqualify a candidate from contesting.
All right, thank you. Got your thoughts there. We'll go on a short break now. When we come back, we'll dive right into the rest of the stories. Stay with us.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Every day our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what they belong.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
People into the country illegally. That is amazing.
Honorable
You human trafficker.
Honorable
You are a human
Every day our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what they belong.
I have fought very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
Welcome back. Many thanks for staying with us to the rest of our stories. The All Progressives Congress in Igbotaka Ward 2, Okiti Pupwa local government area of Ondo State, have announced the suspension of the senator representing the Ondo South, Jimo Ibrahim, over alleged anti-party activities and insubordination. The notice was signed by ward executive members. The 16-member executives in the letter said the decision to suspend the governorship aspirant was taken during its meeting held on May 13, 2024, and their action to suspend Ibrahim was by Article 21, Section A of the APC Constitution. The party recalled that the APC National Chairman Alhaji Abdullahi Umar Ganduje had met with all state governorship aspirants in Abuja on the need for them to cooperate with the party's candidate and incumbent governor of the state, Honorable Lucky Aiyedatiwa. But despite that, Ibrahim proceeded to sue the governor and APC, blatantly disregarding party instructions, adding that he has engaged in anti-party activities by urging his supporters in Igbotako and Ondo State to join an NPP, claiming he will soon receive the gubernatorial ticket from them. Ibrahim's suspension comes after he lost out in the party's governorship primary election in the state. Now, Dr. Ibrahim, you know, trying to galvanize support from the people, you know, under the umbrella of a different party in his state. Yeah. Now, there are two things I want to focus on here. Ibrahim's anti-party activities, and then the move from the party itself, suspending him owing to these activities and acting in contrast to what the governor has given, the directive that the governor has given, you know, asking all party members to come together, put hands together, you know, towards the coming elections.
The chairman.
The chairman, right? Yes, governor and the chairman of the party in the state. So what do you make of Ibrahim's disposition, Ibrahim's, you know, act there in these anti-party activities, which is also contrary to the party's constitution and the directive of the governor?
Yes, you know, there is one brand of politics Nigerians play that does not really go down well with some of us. I'm not a politician. There is this zero-sum mentality. It is either I win or nobody wins.
Okay.
Zero-sum mentality. Politics of prebendalism. If I am not going to win, I will destroy everything. I will scatter the party. That has been the trend in Nigeria since 1999. You know, this is why there is an advocacy that we should, you know, entrench solid rules and regulations and disciplinary measures for those who violate party rules and regulations. Remember, in Nigeria, it is the political party that will nominate you to contest election. You cannot nominate yourself. So the role of the party is very important. And that is why they say party is what? Supreme. Now, why people abuse that privilege is because of the weak internal democracy of our political parties. In a situation where you have strong internal democracy in a political party, if it is true that he contested election by disobeying the party chairman, because before they arrive at that decision, the party chairman might have held a meeting with all the aspirants. Even if you want to contest and the party chairman and all other stakeholders say, look, this is the best candidate that can win the next election. Common sense and native intelligence demands that when everybody is saying, well, you are equally good, but this time around, we are fielding Mr. A as our candidate, you have to follow. Party is supreme. It's not as if they are telling you are not qualified to contest. But the party at that point believes that the candidature of the incumbent governor of the state is the best for the party. That becomes the decision of the party. So Jima Ibrahim should not have even gone to negotiate with NNPP or so. That is anti-party, for God's sake. Even the Electoral Act states clearly that when, remember, don't misquote me, INEC has no responsibility to determine who runs in any election. What INEC is looking at is the procedure followed by a candidate to contest a particular election. If the procedure is faulty, INEC will look at the Electoral Act and say, this procedure is not the one. But they cannot interfere in the internal affairs of any political party. Whether a political party wins an election or not, it's not INEC's business at all. Okay. INEC is not interested. So the party reserves that supreme right to know who is contesting and who is not contesting. For me, if they follow these disparate steps through, it will be a lesson to other candidates that will emerge. If the party, there is what we call consensus building in politics. Consensus. Well, there are 10 candidates that are contesting. Now the consensus is that every other person should step down for candidate A, because candidate A has the potentials of winning the other candidates contesting on the platform of other political parties. That becomes the consensus of the party. So more or less, Jimoh Ibrahim, maybe he believes that he is the most popular candidate. The other day I read that he never took the results of the election lightly, that he actually won. His victory was hijacked, something like that. But what is central in this case is that if because of self-interest and selfish reasons, you try to violate that consensus they are reached already, then he is guilty of anti-party activities. And that is why, even if he goes to court, you must take a record of what he has done. If it is true that he has negotiated with NNPP, because the Electoral Act says, if you are in one party, maybe you are contesting on the platform of APP, and you are going to at the same time negotiate with NPP, with a view to contesting on the platform of that party, it is anti-party. What you have done is against the party where you originally belong. And this is why, even when you have been elected, that is what has raised the furore in Rivers State. We had a total of 27 lawmakers without any confusion in the party, without any factionalization in the party, without any violence in the party, without any reasonable reason. They say they were elected on the platform of PDP, but now they are going to APC. Automatically, such people, if the constitution, the relevant section of the constitution is invoked, such people will lose their seats. That is what the law says. They will lose their seats. So it is now up to him to prove that what he has done, it is up to Jimoh Ibrahim to prove that what he has done is not anti-party. Or better still, go through informal means of settling the dispute with the party, the commanding height of the party chairman and other stakeholders, so that he can still remain relevant in the party.
Okay.
Anti-party is a serious matter. It's like you belong to a family, the DNA runs in you, and all of a sudden, you begin to deny, maybe Mr. A is your father, all of a sudden, so he's not my father.
So this suspension from the party, what does it mean for Ibrahim?
It means that, number one, I said earlier that in politics, it is a political party that will nominate in Nigeria, because we have no provision in our constitution for independent candidacy now. As an independent candidate, you cannot contest now. So it is a party that will nominate you to contest. So if they have suspended it from the party, automatically you have no party on the platform of which you can contest any election. So he is partyless.
Okay.
He has no party. If it is true that he has been suspended, then he cannot, his political career is hanging somewhere.
Okay, now he's suspended from the APC. So does that mean he cannot join another party?
No, he can. If it is true that he has been suspended from the APC, it is at this point, he can even write that he has resigned from APC. I've been suspended unjustly. I am resigning as a member of APC. It is on that basis that he can now negotiate with the NNPP.
But I mean, he should be well aware of what an anti-party activity is. He should be well aware of the party constitution. And so if you want to emerge as a gubernatorial candidate under the umbrella of the NNPP,
yes.
Why not just resign from the APC before you go on with, the activities with the other party? I mean, why does he have to engage in such anti-party activity?
Kati, you cannot speak for Jimoh Ibrahim. There are some people who come into a party not with a view to winning any election, but to destroy the party. Yes. There are some women, you marry them, they come into your house, their aim is not to build a home, but to entirely what? Set it, they will ensure that it is in disarray. A similar thing happens. Do you know his motive of contesting this election?
Okay.
Do you know his motive of disobeying the party hierarchy on the consensus they had already reached? And this is why the best place they can settle this matter on whether his suspension was right or wrong is to go to court. They will still go back to court.
Okay.
Yes. It is the court that will determine whether his suspension is right or wrong, or whether his activities were actually anti-party or not.
All right, then, got your thoughts onto our last story for today. The Chief Whip of the Senate, Atn Politics, while speaking on a live television program on the death penalty deterrent for those caught with drugs, shared the difference between corruption by politicians and other people. Ndeme said corruption in Nigerian politics is people-driven and should not warrant any serious punishment. The senator admitted that politicians steal and share with the people. He stated, and I quote, "If you compare us politicians to all the corruption, it is very small. Our corruption is people-driven. If you steal it, you will go and share it with the people. If you don't, you're not coming back for 4 years. There is no reason for stealing. I have been to the National Assembly. If the death penalty is supposed to be included in corruption, I will support it, but you don't go and kill someone that stole 1 million or 1 billion. No, but someone who steals 1 trillion of government money should be killed." The death penalty is the best deterrent for those being caught for drugs. If you do drugs, you are killing people. In fact, that means you have destroyed the lives of so many people and killed so many people, he said. Doctor, what can you make of Ndeme's, statement here? Because, I mean, to some extent, I feel like he was, where he said, if you steal someone who steals 1 million, 1 billion should not be killed, but someone who steals 1 trillion from the government should be killed. I mean, it's sort of contradicts, like, it's not really clear what it means. So what do you make of Ndeme's, what point do you think he's trying to drive home?
In the first place, as a man of conscience, when I don't know if the president has signed the death penalties for doing drugs.
Yes, there was a bill that is passed.
I don't know if he has signed it. If he has assented to it, I should have said he should not assent to it.
Okay.
The reason being that, corruption is deeply entrenched in the Nigerian political system, in our psyche in Nigeria. You see, when we talk of corruption, so many people will avert their minds to politicians who are signing millions or stealing money, or drug peddlers who sell fake drugs or who bring in hard drugs to pollute society. In as much as I agree that drug trafficking is one of the most heinous crimes, there are countries where these drug addicts and drug peddlers are brought together and their lives are revamped. Some of them, in the course of revamping their lives, some of them become pastors, some of them become moralists in society. Some of them become very important members. They are assimilated, they are integrated back into the society as indispensable members of such a society. So the first point I want to make is President Tinubu should not sign the death penalty for drug traffickers.
Well, I think it's been signed already.
If he has signed it, it's okay, but life imprisonment should have been better.
But you haven't stated why exactly you do not support that bill.
Yes.
Or law.
Yes. In Saudi Arabia, in most of these Islamic countries, Saudi Arabia, if you go to Malaysia, it's death sentence. If you go to Singapore, it's death sentence, and so on and so forth. Now, in those countries, they have a system. The system is that their unemployment, see, most of the youths going into pushing drugs and so on, some of them are frustrated by circumstances to do so. So many of them. Even girls who go into doing drugs, some of them they say, look, let me do it. If they would kill me, let me die. Here we are running a system where there is cost of living crisis. The average civil servant cannot feed well. Now, even as when you want to move, you consider whether you can buy petrol. Yesterday we bought petrol for 800 naira per liter, which means 10 liters you have already spent 8,000 naira. Now, we are talking about minimum wage. Labour has quoted about 615,000 as their minimum wage. That is the entry point. I know that they will still discuss and they can shift ground. But look at the miserable 48,000 naira approved by the federal government. As of 2019, it was 30,000 naira. Now they say what they can afford is 48,000 naira. It means that the average worker, the average civil servant who earns 48,000 naira can only buy a bag of rice if he keeps his salary without touching it for 2 months. Because a bag of rice is above 48,000 naira. Now, if he's a man with a few children and a wife, of course, you are sentencing him to a different kind of life. Now, in the midst of all of this, Nigeria has a very high unemployment rate. It's about the highest. Our inflation rate is approaching 29%. In America, when inflation rate gets to 3 to 4%, they raise alarm. Here, we are talking about our inflation rate officially 26% and going to 27 or 28%, as the case may be. Now, we have not talked about the poverty threshold. 2022 report showed that 133 million Nigerians are poor. I'm not just talking of poor, absolute kind of poverty. Poverty now, you are regarded as poor if on a day you spend less than, you cannot spend up to, it's now $1.9 per day.
Okay.
It used to be, the benchmark then was $1 per day. Now, unemployment is soaring. Our industries, the industries we used to have, you people came at the wrong time. Because when we left secondary school and came to Port Harcourt, there were industries everywhere in Transamadi and so on.
Wrap up your thoughts on that.
The point is that when a politician steals, Ndume has a point. Because politicians, as soon as somebody takes office, the pressure on him, societal pressure, family their expectations are high. The wife, if she did not have a bicycle, she'll be thinking of Range Rover and so on. If the brothers, if the children are not going to a good school, they'll be thinking of traveling abroad to go to school. So society brings a lot of pressure on politicians. And that makes some of them to succumb to sharp practices. That's number one. It is also partially true that when these politicians get small money, they go back to their constituencies. I want small scholarships. I want some concrete roads and so on. Thereby, distributing, it's not just central corruption. They now distribute corruption that is dispersed here and there. But I will not buy the view that that should not be a reason for politicians to be corrupt. Because we are politicians elsewhere. Our problem is that there is systemic corruption. The Gari seller puts bad Gari under. If you go to Oron to buy crayfish, normally they are packaged. On top of it, you see good crayfish. In between, there are just shafts. At the bottom, you see good crayfish. Even the tomato seller puts good tomato on top. Under is rotten tomato that is there. The man selling at the fueling station will adjust his meter. When he puts 10 liters, you see that he has actually put 8 liters. All these are actions that are corrupt. A university lecturer that we are, somebody scored 45%, but because he's your brother or this it, you review his continuous assessment and gave him 55. Corruption. So when we are talking of corruption in this entirety, don't avert your mind to politicians who steal money alone. Corruption is so endemic. It is entrenched in our system. I don't like the statement he has made, but he is partially true, because that is exactly what is going on. If you need to go to the houses of some of these politicians, as early as 5 o'clock, you see people lining up. Everybody ready to take stipend. Some politicians, they wake up, the number of school fees they will pay is there. The number of health, people who have health challenges, the bills they will pay is there. They believe that once you are representing the people, you have to bear the entire responsibility they have. And these people are helpless. Society is not there to help them. Most of the youths are not working. They become political jobbers.
So it's stealing to help them now the good way. I mean, why are you in that position in the first place? Is it not to better the lot of the people?
Yes.
So why do you have to steal
yes,
to help them?
It is not stealing.
It's what?
When we talk of corruption, corruption is not just stealing money alone. That's the point I'm making.
Okay.
Corruption is a multifaceted monster in our society. But with respect to politicians, the idea of budget padding is corruption. We are budgeting 20 billion for something. You say, okay, let's put 9 billion, 29 billion. It's corruption. And that is why the anti-corruption agency should go very hard on these people. They are working quite hard. They are working very hard. But in some cases, monies that were looted by politicians, which were recovered, were relooted again by the anti-corruption agencies. And that is why I say the corruption in Nigeria has become so endemic that we no longer describe it as mere corruption. It is systemic what? Corruption. And until we review our values, morality, whereas morality has traveled to, I don't know where it has traveled to. Our value system has become so decrepit that people now worship money. Even women no longer bother about a man of good morals or good education. They bother about a Yahoo boy who has gone to dupe people, and that is the value system we are going to pass to our children. No way. We must rise up.
So, Dr. John,
yes.
While we wrap up now, you still haven't stated why you do not support the killing of, drug traffickers. Yes, traffickers as a penalty.
What I am saying is, yes, if our system was better organized, I would have supported it. But here, the universities have turned out a lot of graduates without hope, without job.
So the society, the economy, the nation is...
The society is creating the drug traffickers. That's what I'm saying.
So in other words, having a death penalty would be the society killing its own people by itself.
That is it. And eventually, because they are killing their people, eventually, we will also make a law for death penalty for the politicians who are stealing. By the end of the day, we shall engage in self-immolation. We end up killing ourselves. You death penalty, you selling petrol, death penalty, you selling okra, death penalty, and society will not. So there will be anarchy.
All right.
Thank you very much.
It's been Dr. John Idumange with me on ATN Politics, live here on Atlantic Television Network. Many thanks to you for joining us. Follow us on social media, Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network, Instagram and TikTok at